Welcome to City Week, ladies and gentlemen. I am your host, Alton West. Today I will have guests on from West Georgia Health, and I will also have on guests from the Troup County Saddle Club. Make sure that you stay tuned for those interviews in just a moment. Welcome to City Week, ladies and gentlemen. Today I have a guest on from West Georgia Health. I have the Quality Initiative Coordinator, Twala Buttrell. Twala, welcome to the show.
Thank you.
Well, we're here to talk a little bit about something I know that a lot of people perhaps have heard about, and is something that is prevalent in our community, and that is strokes and stroke prevention. And you're the lady that kind of heads up a team there at West Georgia to kind of help people understand that. But before we get into talking about stroke and how to prevent it, talk a little bit about your role as the Quality Initiative Coordinator for us.
Okay, I look at our stroke patients, of course. I look to see if they received the correct treatment while they were here, and that when they go home that we have everything they're supposed to have. We use what we call core measures, which is evidence-based medicine that research has shown to improve patient outcomes. Certain things that we do is we look to see if the patient received TPA within their last 3 hours of the last 3 hours of their well-known time. Yes. And we look to see if they received a VTE prophylaxis, which is blood clots that may form from not being mobile while they're here. We make sure that they don't get a clot while they're here. We look to see if they received what we call antithrombotic therapy, which is something such as aspirin. We give that by the arrival day 2, and we make sure they're discharged home on it. We do blood work, which is called a LDL, which looks at your cholesterol levels. If it is at a certain number, we want to make sure that you're discharged on a statin, which is a cholesterol reducing medication, which also helps prevent you from having another stroke. Okay. We do what we call a dysphagia screen when you arrive. This is simply just telling us whether or not you're able to swallow well. Sometimes when you have a stroke, those muscles don't act like they should, and that keeps you from aspirating. So we want to make sure that's okay. But there are, several things that take place when you are at the hospital.
Boy, you use a lot of big terminology there and things that, TPA and a VTC and all those things. And I want to ask, not to get too technically, but I would like to ask a couple of questions in reference to that as we get into talking about strokes and preventing strokes. But talk a little bit about I think you have a nursing background. Talk about your background in nursing a little bit for us.
I do. I've been a nurse for 11 years. A lot of my background was a med-surg type floor. I was a team leader for about 6 years, I guess, and then I came over to West Georgia Health. I've been enjoying that very much. Okay. I've been here for 5 years now as the Quality Initiative Coordinator. Okay,
well, very good. Because we were talking, nurses sometimes can branch out into different fields of nurses, and you there as the initiative coordinator at West Georgia, and talking about strokes. And the month of May was Stroke Prevention Month. What were some of the things that you all did to help to promote Stroke Prevention Month?
One of the things we did, which was fun, we went out to the ESPN Bass Tournament there. We had a first aid booth set up, and we did give out some stroke education. This is one of the things that we give out. It just tells about the signs and symptoms of stroke and what you should do if you do experience those signs and symptoms.
Oh, okay, well, very good. And did you do any fishing while you were out there?
No, we wanted to.
Wanted to, okay.
It looked fun.
Yeah, it did. I saw a video of it, and it did look like people were having a lot of fun there as well. Yeah. And in talking about being out bass fishing and out in the heat, I think that is probably one of the things that can trigger or bring on heat. Talk about that for us, if you don't mind.
No, not exactly. It's two different things.
Two different types.
You're talking about a heat stroke, which is from overheating. Some of the things with that would be confusion, which is similar to stroke symptoms.
Like I just did, you think?
But it is two different things.
Okay. All right. Okay. All right. Well, talk a little bit about, I guess, some of the symptoms. Well, what is a stroke? First of all, in order for us to understand, I know the viewing audience perhaps have had people, but talk about what is a stroke.
Okay, there's two different types of stroke. One is ischemic, which is where a blood clot goes in a vessel or artery, and it just stops the blood flow to your brain, and so cells are dying constantly, and within a minute 2 million brain cells die. That's why it's so important to get to the hospital quickly so that you reduce your chances of disability or even death. Another type of stroke is what they call hemorrhagic, which is where someone may have untreated high blood pressure and it weakens the vessels in your brain, and sometimes those vessels will break or burst, and which causes a bleed, which we call a hemorrhagic stroke.
Okay. Now, which one do you see more cases of here in our area?
Ischemic stroke, where the blood clot is caused.
Oh, okay. And what are some of the symptoms, or what causes? I heard you mention about the weakening of the vessels and everything, and within a minute, 2 million brain cells die. What are some of the things that cause those, the ischemic type of stroke?
Just like if you have diabetes, if that's not managed well, sometimes that can cause it.
Okay.
High blood pressure. You just want to, of course, make sure you're living a healthy lifestyle, that you're eating right, not eating fried foods and all that, that you want to make sure your cholesterol is where it should be. Don't smoke, don't drink,
Okay.
Exercise regularly, those type things.
Okay, so just the common sense things there,
Yeah.
pretty much there. And then you have the hemorrhagic, I think you said.
Hemorrhagic.
Hemorrhagic is the other type of stroke there.
Yes.
Now, what are some of the symptoms that you can identify with these various types?
Okay. The key thing to remember with a stroke is the symptoms happen suddenly. So it would be sudden numbness or weakness, especially on one side of the body, such as your arm or your leg, or maybe one side of your face, like your mouth may droop to the side. Sudden confusion or trouble speaking, sudden loss of balance or coordination, or even a sudden severe headache with no known cause.
Okay, and all of those. And then when those symptoms occur, and I guess they're pretty much the same for both the ischemic and hemorrhagic, are pretty much the same. What are some of the things that people need to do immediately after they have or experience those symptoms?
You should call 911 immediately, because they can get you in faster. But the faster you get to the hospital, the better your chances.
Okay, okay. Now, I know a lot of times we may see and hear people say that if you think you're having, well, I think I'm getting confused again, or thinking about heart attacks, for stroke victims, are there anything that they, other than calling 911, are there anything that they can do prior to that call?
There's not.
Okay.
I know with heart attacks, they tell you to take an aspirin and all that, but not with stroke. You just want to call 911 and get to the hospital.
Okay, well, very good. And then when they get there, I'm going to assume they go through the triage like you just kind of explained earlier. Talk a little bit about that again for us, if you don't mind, when someone thinks that they have experienced a stroke.
Okay, when you get to the hospital, they take you straight to the CT scanner, and that does an image of your brain to let us know if you had a stroke and what type of stroke you've had, so that we can begin treatment immediately.
Okay, well, very good, very good. So how can people prevent, other than eating healthy, are there any other things, lifestyle habits that they can do, other than what you've already mentioned, that would kind of help them as far as prevention of strokes?
Well, sometimes people have a history of strokes in their family. They may, want to talk to their physician about that and see what type of risk factors they have, such as, is it in your family? Do you have diabetes and high blood pressure? Because those are big things that you need to manage to lower your risk of stroke. Okay,
well, very good. And I think you have a team of individuals there. You call it the stroke team.
Oh, yes.
You want to talk about the stroke team for us too, Twala?
We have a multidisciplinary team. We have our stroke director, which is Dr. Orr. He's our emergency room medical director. We have our nurse managers from, ICU and PCU, around the hospital. We have people from rehab, our speech therapist. We have people from radiology, the people that do the CTs and all. We all meet we go over what's happened month by month, what our numbers look like, and is there anything we can do to improve, such as decreasing the time that a CT is taken. We look to see if there's any time wasted. We want to cut those numbers so we can get you in as fast as possible.
Okay, all right. And I think that the team was recognized by Paul Coverdale at some point. Talk a little bit about that. That's a big thing for us.
We're very excited about that. I guess over the past 3 years, we've received 3 awards. The first one was from the Coverdale Stroke Registry. We received that for just our outcomes and the fact that we do community education. We've also received, back in 2012, we received the Silver Award from the American Heart and American Stroke Association. And this past year, this year, we received the Gold Award from the American Heart and American Stroke Association. So we're very proud of that.
Oh, very good. And that's all attributed to the team of doctors and nurses there at the hospital?
Oh, yes, definitely.
Can you talk a little bit, and as we get ready to close out, can you talk a little bit about some of the criteria for receiving those awards?
Well, it looks at our core measures, as I discussed earlier.
Okay.
Did we give that aspirin by arrival day 2? Did we give the TPA within the 3 hours that we should have? And were they discharged home with stroke education and those sort of things?
Okay. All right. And you mentioned a term there again, TPA.
TPA.
Yes.
Yes, that is a clot-busting drug. So if you have a ischemic stroke, which we were talking about earlier, that's caused by a blood clot, some people may qualify to receive this clot-busting drug, and it's given IV through a vein, and it will increase your chances of not having disability or even death sometimes. It can totally reverse the symptoms sometimes.
Oh, okay. Well, very good. Well, quite interesting information here, Twala, and we want to just say congratulations to you and the team there at West Georgia Health, because I know that, for those that need the services, I probably can attest to the fact that very professional, very on time. So we just want to thank you for coming on today and sharing this information with us. And definitely, by all means, if someone is listening and they may have had a family member that have had symptoms and everything, would you give them a contact number if you don't mind?
Oh, yes.
Okay.
My office phone is 706-812-2278.
Okay, well, very good. Thank you for coming on today, Twala.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
All right. Ladies and gentlemen, stay tuned. We're back from What City Week in just a moment. Welcome back, City Week, ladies and gentlemen. Today I have on 2 members from the Troup County Saddle Club. I have on members Tommy Woods and Jerry Johnson. Gentlemen, welcome to the show.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Well, it's a pleasure to sit down with both you guys. I think, Jerry, this is the first time you and I've had opportunity to sit down together, isn't it?
It is.
It is. I know that Tommy's been on once in the past. We want to talk a little bit about the Troup County Saddle Club. Jerry, talk a little bit about the Saddle Club and how did it get started?
The Saddle Club is for the people that's got a love for horses and also a love for children, because it's all about, trying to bring kids up in a positive manner, and horses do teach a lot of rules of life to the children. And of course, we are blessed by having Pine Road Park, because we've got a great place to ride there, and you've got virgin timber. Some of the trees are 150 years old with great views of the lake. We've got a good place that's safe to park your trailer and so forth. A lot of people have worked a lot of hours and hundreds of hours on the trails and picking up trash around it, around the lake, to keep it beautiful. And we've got a lot of good members of the club. And about 6 years ago, we had 2 of the members die of cancer that had been real faithful members. And so we have been having a cancer ride for 5 years, and the most we've raised is about $2,100. And last year it looked like rain all day, and it really hurt us. We only raised about $1,600. So we raised a goal this year for $3,000.
Okay.
And it looks good.
Looks good. Well, very good. And the American Cancer Society, and I know that you all were talking about all those funds will stay here locally in the community as well. Let me ask you, Tommy, and Jerry alluded to it a moment ago about the discipline of the horses and everything. I think you all take that over to some mini rodeos. Talk a little bit about that and how the kids get involved.
Yeah, the kids have the biggest time They do things like barrel racing, pole bending, all kind of fun games that you do on horseback in a semi-competitive atmosphere. And at the end of the year, they total up points, and then those who had the highest point total win prizes, and we give them down to several places.
Okay, well, very good. Many roads, and that, again, that takes place out at the Pine Road Park,
It
correct?
is at Pine Road Park North. At the address is 4194 Roanoke Road.
Oh, okay, very good. And Jerry was talking about the nice trees, the timbers and everything, and the trails there. We definitely want to invite the people to come out to see the Pine Road Park and all the amenities. We want to talk a little bit about some other things that have taken place out there in a moment. How can someone become a member of the Saddle Club, Jerry?
We meet on the first Monday in each month at the Red Rooster on the West Point Road, and that's Hog Heaven's south side over there,
Okay.
where they have the vegetables. And we meet at 6 o'clock, and we eat, and then we have a small meeting that lasts about 30 minutes. And it's $25 for an individual and $35 for a family. And it's one of those things, it's a good atmosphere and a lot of good people with big hearts.
Okay, well, very good. Now, I don't have a horse, but I like to go horseback riding. If I was interested in becoming a member, would I need my own horse, or are there horses available through the club?
There are, in each individual, you start out with one horse, but before you know it, you've got 2 or 3 or 5, or in Jerry's case, about 10 at times at his place.
Okay.
And they'll be glad to get you hooked up with a horse. But let me say this one thing, that Pine Road Park is open to hikers. It's also open to bikers.
That's right.
And it's a multi-use facility that if you just want to come out there and ride through the park on your bike, or you want to bring your kids out there and go hiking, the trails are marked and well groomed.
Absolutely. You know, like I say, it's been a moment since I've been out that way, but I have heard all the wonderful things that have taken place, and hopefully I can get out there and do a show sometime soon. Well, so there again, if someone wants to become a member, it's $25 for the individual, $35 for the family. Now, we want to talk a little bit about the ride itself, because that's going to take place on June the 22nd. Talk about that a little bit for us, Tommy.
Well, what we'll do is we'll meet out there on a Saturday morning, June the 22nd. Registration will begin at 9 o'clock, and we'll try to ride out at 10. We'll ride for about 2 hours, come back and have lunch, and then we're going to have a silent auction, and we'll also have a raffle where we're going to give away prizes.
Okay, well, very good. Now, and Jerry, you were talking a moment ago about, and we're hoping it won't rain, but I'm sure there's a rain day.
Well, if it rains, it'll be the following Saturday. It's one of those things we hope we don't have a rain, because it always hurts.
That's right.
Financially if it does. We've got it planned where there's going to be a lot of prizes out there that people can either win through a raffle, and the local people have been very good. I've had people calling me and bringing stuff by my office and leaving it, and a lot of that will be in the raffle. Okay. Then we have some really nice prizes we're going to give away in the silent auction. And this money, it is going for a great cause. It is staying in Troup County, and a lot of people get cancer, and maybe Medicare is paying the bill, but it costs a lot of money maybe to run to Emory or to Birmingham, and the local cancer society, through need, they may give you a gas card if you've got someone to take you to the hospital, and if you don't have that person that is capable of driving, because you know the person may have cancer, may be the good driver in the group, they will have someone that can drive you to the hospital for your treatment. So it is a big deal what we're raising here, and this money does stay here. And Lynn Howard runs a great program, and she is a blessed lady in the fact that, you know, she's a survivor of cancer, and so she does a wonderful job running that program.
Absolutely. I've had Lynn on a couple of times, and then of course everybody knows one of the Loud Cancer Care Navigator here in our community, who does an outstanding job too with that. And I'm going to talk a little bit about, and I think you all said that the reason why we were talking, Tommy, before we came on, the reason why you all are involved, and Jerry just alluded to the fact that the money stays here, but also I think it touched the Saddle Club itself as well.
We had some members who had cancer and ended up passing away because of it, and we just did it in honor of them when we first started it 5 years ago, and then we have just kept it going because it seems like every family is touched sooner or later by cancer. I know my dad had cancer and died with it about 10 years ago, and my mother now has cancer. So it's going, if you live long enough, more than likely you're going to be affected by cancer.
Absolutely, or know someone that has been affected by cancer as well. So again, then for those individuals, I know that the club is going to be riding, but the individuals that want to come out and participate and patronize this, what's the cost for individual riders, Jerry?
It's $25, and that gets you a lunch, be a barbecue sandwich with a potato chips and a ding dong or something in there and a Coke.
Okay.
And so we're hoping we'll have some people that would maybe show up and just donate $25, and if somebody wants to walk, we'll let them leave last, and we wouldn't expect them to do the whole 7.3 miles, but they could do, you know, a couple of miles on the red trail.
Okay.
And it would be a very beautiful walk.
Absolutely. And I know last year you had it out at the Liberty Hill. I call it the Christmas Tree Farm area. How well did y'all do there last year, Tommy?
We did a respectable job. Last year we had rain problems, which throwed us back a day, and we had it on Sunday, so it ended up not, people had other plans.
That's right.
But I think we ended up collecting about $1,500 that we gave to the Cancer Society.
Okay, very good. And I think you guys were a little aggressive this year, Jerry. Raised that goal to $3,000, right?
What we've done, we've learned to use Facebook this year, and it has been a blessing. We've had people we got 4 Braves tickets that'll go on a silent auction. We've had people throw in saddles. We've had people that's given some nice prizes, very nice prizes going to go on a silent auction. And the great thing about it, somebody can write that check out for the Cancer Society. They could round it up another $100 if they wanted to, give it to a good cause, and maybe get 4 Braves tickets. So there's some nice prizes. There's some paintings, some boots, some hats. So there's some nice prizes they could come out and get.
Very good.
And do for a good cause.
Absolutely. Now, it just so happened, if there was someone that was watching this and they wanted to make a donation, how can they do that? Who can they call, or do you have a contact number? Or?
If they want to drop the checks off to my office, it's real easy, 306 South Lewis Street.
All right.
And we're having people, we've had some of the banks, Heritage Banks gave us some chairs the other day, Diversified Power gave us some chairs the other day. We're having people that are volunteering, and that's the great thing. We're having people that we didn't even ask, you know, volunteering to do things.
Well, very good.
And so that's a sign that this is starting to grow and take off.
Well, very good. As we get ready to close out, I know, Tommy, we were talking a little bit about some of the renovations that have taken place out at Pine Road Park. You want to talk about that just a little bit?
Yes, we got a grant from last year, the Parks and Rec did. We've been working hand in hand with them. They've been handling it all, but we've also donated some time in working on the trails, and also the pavilion. We're providing the plumbing and the electrical, and they've bought the building, had it put up, and we'll have a pavilion with new restrooms. We've been out there in porta potties for the last 5-6 years, so if we get the restrooms, we're going to think we're in hog heaven.
All right, then. Well, very good. Well, good. Again, it's for a great call. This is the 5th annual American Cancer Society Benefit Trail Ride that's going to be taking place on June the 22nd. Rain, we're not going to be expecting it, but if it does, it will be June the 29th, the following week. So, gentlemen, I want to thank both of you all for coming on and sharing this information, and we hope that those donations, Jerry, will continue to come in. The riders will come out and enjoy the park and donate to a good cause.
Yeah.
So, thank you, gentlemen, both for coming on.
Hey, let me put one more push in there.
Okay.
If anybody's got anything they'd like to donate, whether it be a TV set, stereo, or anything they'd like to donate, you know, they can come into my office and we'll put it on a silent auction. A lot of times somebody's just cleaning house or downsizing, so they may have a nice piece of furniture. We can get money that will go to the Cancer Society, so it'll be a good cause.
Okay.
So it's a win-win.
There you go. Very good. Well, gentlemen, thank you both for coming on today.
Thank you.
All right.
Thank you.
Ladies and gentlemen, stay tuned. We're back for more City Weekend in just a moment. Ladies and gentlemen, I want to thank you for joining us for City Week this week. My guests have been from West Georgia Health. I had on Quality Initiative Coordinator Twyla Buttrell, and also from the Troup County Saddle Club, I had on Tommy Woods and Jerry Johnson as they talked about the upcoming American Cancer Society trail ride. So make sure that you go out and patronize and give to a very good cause here in our community. Ladies and gentlemen, I hope that you've enjoyed those interviews, and as always, I want to invite you back for more of City Week.